Hello and welcome here live from the Eurovision Village, where we will give you our semi-final 2 prediction of which 10 will go through to the semi-final. We've got Darren, myself, Fred, and Ricardo here to give you what our views are. We haven't discussed anything as of yet, so there could be a debate. So let's see who our top 10 will be. Okay, so to start off with, I think Norway is a pretty dead cert to go through tonight. Alexander Rybak, obviously a previous winner. Everyone's been talking about his performance and is obviously one of the odds-on favourites to win.
Norway's on my list, unfortunately, but I'm basing it on what I think is going to happen, not on what I want it to happen. But if it was my way, he wouldn't go through.
Ricardo?
Yes, I think Norway's a definite contender for the final. I mean, I think the song is fun. I think this song has many fans. And however, I think it's definitely going to go through to the final.
Okay. Next on the list is Moldova. Not one of my favourite songs actually coming into the contest, but their performance is one of the slickest I've seen. So it'd be an absolute shame if they weren't there, but I think they're now one of the favourites actually to win.
Yeah, I have Moldova on my list as well. I think they're the dark horse of this competition. So we could be in Moldova this time next year.
I agree with Darren. I think it's fun. I think it's quirky, and it's sort of a breath of fresh air in the middle of this semi-final.
Okay. Next on the list, I have Australia. Now, I know this is a bit of a contention. This is arguably one of the strongest songs in the competition, and I love Jessica Malboy. If anyone's seen any of the other videos, absolute fanboy here, but there's been a lot of controversy around her performance, the staging, and her outfit. But I think, based on the strongness of the song, I do believe it will go through.
Yeah, I think I've got Australia on my list as well, and I think it's going to come down to the juries with this song. I don't think the public are going to back her, but I think the juries will. She hasn't given strong performances in her rehearsals. The end note she's missed a few times, but I do think, again, it's one of them songs that it's like the anthem of 2018, but I do think the juries are going to back this 100%.
Ricardo?
Yes, I think it's a very popular song, as Australian entries usually are. I believe it's definitely going to go through. Despite what everyone says about Jessica, I'm not saying I disagree. I think she's a great character, and I do believe we will see her in the final.
Lovely. Next, I've got Sweden. Now, everyone's underrated this entry this year because no one's talking about it. But as I've said to many of those criticisms, actually, I think people just expect Sweden to do well, and when they, bring the same consistency level, it just doesn't surprise anyone. So I think they're going to be there for sure.
Yeah, Sweden has got mixed reviews this year from fan and from press. So I've got it down to qualify, but I think it will definitely qualify, but I don't know where it's going to end up in the final. People are saying top 5. I think possibly top 10. I don't think he's going to do as well as Robin from last year, but who knows. But again, I think Sweden might need to send something different next year, because I think people are getting slightly bored of the whole technical issues of the big production value of what they bring to Eurovision. I think something simple would be probably beneficial for next year.
So something a bit more genuine.
Something a bit more genuine, because I do think that Robin and I've forgotten his name, that's how memorable he is, Benjamin. I think that you just forget about them as people and you just look at the production value, and I've just forgotten Benjamin, and I've seen him several times. I went to Melody Festivalen and I've seen him a few times here, but I think you just forget the artist, you just look at the visual aspect. And I think it'd be nice for Sweden next year to have a representative that you see beyond the production value, you actually see them as a genuine artist. But I think Benjamin will do well, but I'm looking at top 10 in the final.
Okay, Ricardo?
Yes, I think it's also strong contender. It's a very easy listening kind of song. However, I think that's it. I think it is one of the weaker ones of the Nordic group of songs.
Okay. And next I've got on the list is Denmark. Again, there's been a little bit of controversy about this one recently. It seems to have gone in and out of people's top 10, but I think it's strong enough and different enough to actually make it to the top 10. and go on to the final.
Yeah, I have Denmark 2 on my list, and it's going to be really interesting to see if they do qualify and if Sweden do qualify, because this song was actually selected, well chosen for Sweden, and obviously they turned it down for Melody Festival, and so Denmark literally thought, yep, we'll have it. So if they do both reach the final, it's going to be interesting to see which song does better. So that's going to be something that I'm looking forward to seeing if they both qualify.
It's not the first time it's happened either, so.
I also believe that Denmark will qualify. It's a strong, powerful song, very rhythmic, and I think it is one of the better of the Nordic songs.
Okay. And so the next on the list I've got is Hungary. Now this isn't a song that I would normally listen to on any given day, but the production and the stage presence of this really sells it. It's a story about a sort of a loss of a father, but not that I think you actually get that through the actual song, but it's such a strong rock performance, and the band really deliver it, and with all the pyrotechnics and things on stage, it's going to be difficult to forget and miss.
Yes, I also have these on my list as well, purely because of the song itself, the meaning of it, the whole stage presence, their performance. So I do think they'll qualify on that perspective, but on my own perspective, it's not one of my favourites. But after meeting with the boys, they are very genuine, and the song has got a really strong message, and it has a really good meaning as well that I think everyone's going to relate to on losing someone special that they love. So I do think this could be a favourite to qualify tonight.
Okay. Ricardo?
Yes, despite the fact that it is also not my kind of music, it's not something I would ever listen to, and I find it odd that that kind of music is music about has such strong emotional impact. I believe it might just go to the final simply because there's no other song like it. So I think all the metal fans are definitely going to vote for it, even though when I hear it, I feel my throat scratching.
Okay, and next on my list is Malta. Now, if anyone's seen any of our other reviews, this is actually one of my weakest Maltese entries that I've seen for quite a few years. It doesn't really give me the same emotions that a Maltese song normally does. But next to me, you have one of the biggest fanboys here. But I think Malta have done enough to get across their message of mental health, and they have enough production around it with the screens and the on-screen graphics to really sell the performance.
Yeah, she's on my list. I'm a huge fan of Christabel. For me, the meaning of the song, the whole mental health issue, relates to me and also relates to my full-time job. I do help a lot of families in my country that do suffer from mental illnesses, and I do think that she is brilliant to spread the word about breaking this taboo of it. So I'm hoping that's going to reach out to all the Eurovision fans and vote for her. It's quite surprising because I don't normally back the Maltese entry, but because of the song and because of Christabel and the fact she supports it as well with obviously reaching out to mental illness, she's doing a marvellous job, and I'm hoping she's going to qualify tonight because she's absolutely amazing. So fingers crossed for Malta.
Ricardo?
Yeah, I think her message is great. Her support for people dealing with mental health issues is fantastic. I think the song is melodic. I like it. It's not my favorite. It's not one of my favorites. However, I do enjoy the song. I think it's a nice song to listen to. In terms of the lyrics, I don't like the repetition in it. The animals, sounds like an echo. I just don't think it's necessary. I think they could have added something else there to improve it. But
Okay.
I do believe it just might, get through.
Slide in. Yeah.
Break the taboo.
Okay, so this one probably is going to not be on everyone's list, but I've actually got the Netherlands going through. Of recent, the Netherlands have actually done reasonably well with last year's entry as well, but I think Waylon obviously coming second place with Come After the Storm with the Common Linnets. he, in my honest opinion, has one of the strongest voices this year, and really delivers the song well. What doesn't really fit with the song is the odd dancing. I think it's going to be one of those weird ones that either people embrace the country music and his genuine performance, or they're going to be confused by the odd addition of crunk dancing to a country music number.
Yeah, I also have the Netherlands on my list as well, purely because I think that's what the majority of people think. My own choice, I wouldn't have him qualify. For me, purely because the song isn't me. Rock music isn't for my liking at all. But I do think that he has got one of the strongest voices in this competition. I do feel that he will have the backing of juries and the public. With the dancers, they have kind of grown on me. I think it gives it a bit of pizzazz. It gives it a bit more excitement to the performance. I think that's the reason why they've done it, because otherwise it just would have been him with a guitar, like a basic country kind of rock song. But I think the dancers give it that bit of edge, so I can see this qualifying tonight.
Ricardo?
Yeah, he's done well in the past in 2014. He's a big name here at Eurovision. He's a huge name in the Netherlands. It's his style of music, or the style of music of this song at least, also is not my type of music. It's not music that I listen to. It's possible that he might get to the final, even though I'm not vouching for him. Apparently he chose this song. People at the Dutch selection were rooting for two others, and he took the liberty of choosing this one. I wish him luck, even though it's not my type of music.
Okay. Next on my list, I've got Slovenia. Leah is really charismatic performer. You can really get down to her song and sort of groove with it. And I must say, this is a song that I didn't have a particular feeling for before the contest, but actually seeing it performed live on stage actually turned my mind around. What did you think?
I haven't got Slovenia on my list, but if it was down to me, she would qualify. I think they're going to struggle. I will be over the moon if she actually does qualify, because I do love the song. I think and I've spoken to her in person, she's absolutely amazing. But I feel like this is going to be one of the ones that just miss out. So that's not on my list.
Okay. Ricardo?
Yeah, I don't think this is a popular one. I have my doubts as to whether she's going to make it. Personally, it's not my favorite either. I must confess I really don't like this song. But hey, all the best of luck, Slovenia.
Okay. Next on my list is, the last one on my list actually is Ukraine. This is a bizarre performance by Milovin, and the coming towards the end of the actual semi, I think he's going to leave a lasting impression with voters and the jury alike, because it's just so bizarre that it'd be difficult to forget. What did you think?
Yeah, I also have Ukraine on my list as well. I know, obviously, I've just spoken about production values, but I think Ukraine have done this completely right this year. They've done something completely different and weird and strange that I think everyone's going to remember and love. I think the choreography is absolutely brilliant. Like, whoever made up the suggestion of obviously the coffin turning into a piano with the fire, I think it is pure Eurovision. I do think it will qualify. I don't think it will do particularly well in the final. I don't think it's a top 10 or even a top 5, but I do think it brings something different to the contest.
Okay. Ricardo?
Yeah, definitely. I think the Ukraine usually sends very high quality music. I personally like this song very much. It's one of my top 5 actually. The production around it, I'm just going to limit myself to say, is big. It's very, yes, Eurovision-esque, and it definitely has a visual wow factor, as well as Ukraine, in my opinion, sending yet again a good song this year. So I think we're definitely going to see the Ukraine in the final.
Okay, well that was it for my top 10. Obviously there was loads of songs that just miss out for me, but who did you think?
So my completing my top 10, I had Romania. I do think that
they were my number 11, by the way.
I do think the humans will do very well. I do think they will qualify. They bring edge. the song is very powerful, and I do think that people are going to obviously vote for them, and I do think they're going to be fan favourites of the juries as well. So I can see Romania qualifying. I would just like to give a shout out to Serbia. They are my favourite. They are just on the outside of my top 10. For me, that it's just pure Eurovision. I love the music. I love the group. They've got good chemistry with each other. But I do think they're going to miss out on the public and on the juries, which is a huge shame. But I love them, and I think they're absolutely amazing. I would also just like to say that none of us have said Russia. I don't know whether that's completing your top 10, Ricardo. Probably not. So this is going to be a first. Obviously, if Russia don't qualify, and if they do qualify, then who on earth they're going to give the 12 points to after obviously the results from semi-final 1. So it's going to be really interesting to see if they do. I personally think it's not going to. It lacks staging for me, just shoving her on a mountain, which I think is just completely bizarre. And I think her vocals aren't that great. So I do think that she's going to miss out, and it's going to be really interesting to see if she does or not, and how it's going to be, how the result is if she does and if she doesn't. What are people going to say? So that's all from me. So I will pass over to Ricardo to finish off his top 10.
Well, I think my list is more similar to Darren's. There are three three countries on Fred's list that I would replace. That would be Hungary, which I think I would replace with Poland. I actually think it's really, it has a different vibe. I think it's melodic. I think it's groovy. It's something to dance to. Yeah, I quite like Poland. I prefer it over Hungary. I would also replace the Netherlands with Serbia. I think Serbia has a great production. It's been criticized some people have criticized it for having too much going on at the same time. However, I think it just blends well, and it's an altogether good song. And I think I would replace Slovenia with perhaps, I tell the truth, I cannot remember what my last one was, but that was another one that...
The remaining countries would have been Romania, Poland, San Marino, Latvia, Serbia, Montenegro, Georgia, and Russia.
No, I think I'm going to keep it to those two.
Okay.
In my list, I would also include Poland and Romania. Sorry, it was Romania. Sorry,
yeah.
I remember. I would include Romania in my top 10 for all the reasons Darren mentioned. I think it's a great song. I think it's a fantastic song. I think Christina sings very well.
Yeah.
And I think it deserves to go to the final.
Okay. So those are our thoughts. What are your thoughts? Make sure you leave your comments below and let us know who you think will qualify for tonight's semi-final and go on to Saturday's grand final. Thanks very much. Live here from the Eurovision Village in Lisbon. Back to you.